So good afternoon everyone and welcome to the channel. So what I have in front of me is a transmission cooler that I'm going to install to my car. I'm not going to say try because I've done transmission coolers on my C4 Corvette. I've done two actually on there. As a heat sink fin type trans cooler, and then I have one just like this mounted in the front, all in series with the radiator. So this is my lunch break right now. So I'm just gonna right now do a little bit at a time, and I'm gonna do rest of it after I finish working today. Ooh, not gonna put that on the glass. So the first thing, as you can see, this is a Hayden transmission cooler, costs about 50 bucks from Summit. I've already attached the hoses to it, and you'll cut them at the middle or wherever based on the length. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna jack the car up and then just assess my situation or how I want to go about this. Do I need to take the fan shroud off? Do I need to take off the filter and all that up there at the front? Or can I just do everything from underneath? Pretty sure I'm going to take the fan shroud off. But this is a relatively simple process of you just attach this with the two little cords that come through there, and you run these lines to your actual already cooling line. Doesn't matter if it's the return line or the going into the radiator line. It really doesn't matter because it's going to cycle back through and get cooled. At least I don't think it matters. You just need to cut one of the hoses. So I got a new saw blade from Home Depot, so I can just easily cut it into my angle grinder. And so basically what I'm going to do now, like I already said, jack the car up, look at what I got going on, and then I'm going to go back to work and then finish this up in the evening. So yeah. Alright, so I'm under here, and let me get my camera right. So that's one of the lines that go to the transmission cooler. Transmission lines right there. And you can see they run, and that's the two right there. So I can either, like on my C4 Vet, I can tap in right there, or I can tap in a little bit closer to the source, which is right there. It all depends on how long I actually want to run these hoses, and how much room I can play with. Because if I tap in here, I will have to cut it. Yeah, it's probably gonna be a weird angle. But I don't have to run the lines as far. But if I tap it here, I have to run the lines farther, but I have plenty of room to work with. So cut like a little section out right here. Right where these two bins, one of these bins are, probably like I can't get my finger because I'm holding the light, but kind of like right there, and then right there, and then slide it over there with just with the hoses. But I can already tell, yeah, I'm gonna have to remove the fan shroud to do this properly. So I got the car jacked up. I've assessed the situation. I think I'm gonna change my oil while I'm under here because I brought some oil. But now I'm gonna go get back to work because I see what I got to do next, which is gonna remove the fan shroud. Then I'm gonna mount the radiator. Now I'm gonna see how much hose I can play with to give me a better understanding where I can cut at. I can also cut right there where all those wires are. That's actually not a bad spot to cut out a little section right there. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see and play it around. It's all about, because I got to move the wires out of the way, where I just kind of want to cut it and slide the hoses over. But yeah, so let's get to the next segment. So I went ahead and I still got a little bit more time. I went ahead and removed the 4 bolts for the fan shroud. So it's only 4 10mm bolts. I'm just gonna take off this coolant hose. Man, it's cold as crap out. I think it's like 20 or 30 degrees out. But go ahead and remove this fan shroud right here. I'm probably gonna need 2 hands, but yeah. So 10mm bolts. Remove this. Then I'm gonna remove this part right here, and then I'm gonna see how I want to mount this. It's probably gonna be directly center because I think I have enough hose. But yeah, let's go ahead and take this off real quick. Then I'll come back after lunch and mount it, or later in the evening and mount it. Okay, so right now I'm playing with how to mount it, and I think I'm gonna mount it sideways like this. I haven't gotten the shroud off just yet because there's a couple push pins in the way, but I might not need to. I might just be able to drill a hole right here through the side and stick the hoses through and leave the shroud actually on there. So I'm gonna go ahead and mount this real quick with with the the supplied material, which is these little, like, you know, they're not zip ties, but they're something similar. And then you got to put the foam pads on them as well to kind of you'll put the foam pads on there so you know the two radiators, the radiator and the condenser, the transmission cooler and the condenser, won't be sticking on top of each other. It kind of provides a little bit of gap on them, so it won't be metal on metal contact. So I'm gonna go ahead and fasten it real quick. I'm gonna stick the little plastic things all the way through, you know, the transmission cooler, through the condenser, and then through the radiator, and then cut it, and then you know, put it through all three of them to fasten it, and then trim off the fat just like a zip tie. So let me go ahead and do that real quick, and then after that I'm gonna cut a hole over there and stick the hose through, and then see how much room I got to play with to try to make it reach all the way back over there, which I have a feeling I won't have enough room. So yeah, let's get going. Okay, hopefully you can see it. I know it's kind of hard, but if you can see, there's one right there sticking through, two right there, and there's a third one up there. You see a little bar sticking out, and then there's a fourth. I know it's up there. I can see it with my naked eye. I think that's it right there, sticking through. So I'm attaching these little circle, I don't know, pucks or whatever, retainers to the back of them. One thing I just got done doing is I pulled the fan off just a little bit so it give me some more room to play with. As you can see right here, transmission cooler is somewhat on there, so I just need to pull everything through nice and tightly to have it nice and secure. And then I'm going to cut a little slit on the side here with a fan shroud to stick the hose through. So let me keep moving forward. So as you can see, I have all four of them attached. I know the shadow kind of throws it off, but you can see that black one way up there on the right. Yeah, right there. So all four of them attached. The next thing is I'm going to trim the line so the fan won't be trying to cut them off, and then run the hose. So let's go do that. So I'm pretty sure you can see that big bright hole. I just drilled the hole through. I don't think it's going to be big enough for the hoses to squeeze through, but I'm going to go and try it real quick. Maybe I have to make it a little bit bigger, but I used the biggest bit I can find. So yeah, let me try it out. Okay, so we ran into some issues, and this is supposed to be a really simple job. And you can see I got the cooler back out. So when I pushed the hose through the holes that I made, it popped the cooler outside, like all the lines popped out and everything got backed out. And since I already trimmed them, I couldn't put them back in correctly. So I had to go to the auto parts store and I had to pick up a whole nother set of these nylon retainers. But while I was there, I doubled the hose length so I can run it. I got two separate ones all the way down so I can run it as far as I want to. I also brought gloves because it is like 25, 30 degrees out. It's like really cold. And I brought a bunch of lights. So you can see I got a blue light that's hanging off there, and I got a headlamp on as well. That's what I'm covering up and doing. So we're going to get back to work. I'm going to shove the two holes through, and I'm going to try to retain them after I put the hose through, and we should be moving forward pretty fast now. So yeah, let's get going. Okay, I don't know if you can see it. I know I got lights everywhere, but there's two sticking through, and there's a third one, and the fourth one is sticking through. I just can't spot it for the camera. But yeah, it's definitely sticking through because there's one right there, and then there's another one. Anyway, no sense trying to find it, but all four sticking through. So the next thing is to put the retainers on there and then hopefully trim them again and not have to run this issue. As you can see, it's pretty much, get my light on here a little bit better. It's pretty much retained on there. properly. Hoses are sticking through. So yeah, let's go and wrap this section up of far as sticking them through and then putting the fans back on, and then we'll go ahead and start cutting hoses. Okay, so we got them all 4 fastened on there, and I found out what I did wrong, why they popped out last time. I basically had them on backwards. So now they're on the right way, so they won't just slide out in case there's any movement. But yeah, so next thing is I'm gonna go ahead and trim those, hook the fans back up, and then I'm gonna start with the lines, cutting them to length. But I got plenty of room to work with to do where I want to. So yeah, let's keep going. Okay, as you can see, you can see, we have the cooler all hooked up with all the retainers in place, and the fan is back in place. I just need to tighten the one fan bolt, which is right there that you can see. I need to tighten that, and I need to also install the one up there. But since I'm already down here on the ground, we're gonna, instead of, like I said earlier, instead of us trying to cut here, I doubled the line hose so that I can just run it you know, over this sway bar and over here underneath the power steering rack, and then do it right here where I think I have the most room to play with as far as oops, sorry. So I have the most room to play with as far as like the hoses and stuff like that. I'm not concerned about this belt and things like that, because you can always just zip tie them out of the way, or, you know, these aren't even in the way. So let's go ahead and route the hose real quick, and let's try to mock it up and then figure out what we're gonna cut. Okay, so I ran the lines, and the next step is to actually just basically get the saw out and just cut here. So I'm probably gonna cut right here at the bent elbow, and then slide a hose on over here, cut here at the elbow, and then cut another little section, I guess around right here. Thing is, I don't want the hose to have like a bad bend, you know what I mean, like a heavy bend to recirculate itself, because it's like supposed to have a 3-inch bend radius is the max you can do to have sufficient sorry about the camera, to have sufficient flow. So I'll figure it out, and then we'll get going. Okay, so I've already gone ahead and made my cuts. Hopefully that's not too bright. So you can see, kind of got the line right there pulled out of the way. Almost starting to nick that one a little bit, as you can see right there. But yeah, next thing is I'm just going to start attaching the hoses by clamps. I'll go ahead and get that done. Okay, so we have everything secured up. As you can see, let's see if I got some light. As you can see, so we got one clamp there. I push this hose on as far as I can. It's on there pretty I'm confident about it. If it leaks, then I know where it's coming from. Also got it secured there as well. I know it's hard to see with the metal zip ties. For me personally, when I'm doing zip tying that stuff that's close to a lot of heat, so you got the oil pan, the whole engine block and everything, a lot of heat, I like to use these like metal type zip ties, just because I don't have to worry about them getting brittle over time or easily breaking. So that's kind of how I got it hooked up here. I kind of left the hose long and just have it curve back around, and I didn't trim that one. The next step of this is I need to go, well, first I need to test it, but the next step is also to go to the back, and I need to change out my transmission fluid and filter, because it's got 151,000 miles on this car. I don't know if it's been touched, and then when I refilled it back in my other video, accidentally, you know, I'm gonna be honest with you, I used the wrong transmission fluid. I used Mobil 1 synthetic, and I should have been using Dextron or Decron 6. So Decron 6, about 4 or 5 quarts is not in there. So what I'm gonna do is I got like 7 quarts of Castro Decron and Dexron 6, and I'm gonna go ahead and put that in there and change the filter at the same time. That should be a relatively straightforward process. You got to jack up the car from the back, disconnect all the bolts. It's relatively easy. I don't know if I'm gonna do it tonight. If I do, I think it maybe take me about an hour, maybe hour and a half. So I might do it. But first thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna test this for leaks, and then also take care of that fan, that last fan, the shroud bolt. So let's go and do that. So I've had the car running for about 10 or 15 minutes, and it must be working because I'm not seeing any leaks. Let me get my light out. I went to the store and also brought a whole bunch of lights, but I'm not seeing any leaks. I don't know if you can see it. I know the lights all not focusing. I'm not seeing any leaks there from the hoses, and the transmission won't get above 60. It's going really slow on getting hotter and hotter. Right now it's at 66 degrees, but it's like taking forever. So I'm gonna call this a pretty successful install. Go ahead and turn the car off. Turn this fan off because it was helping me blow all the exhaust fumes out. That was just making my eyes water. So I also changed the engine oil with 15W50. That's what I use in my car while I had it up. So the next segment that I'm going to take care of tomorrow is I'm actually going to change out the fluid. I'm going to go ahead and change out the fluid in the rear of the car. So let's get to that tomorrow after I come home from work and let the car cool. So yeah, that'll be the next segment.